Now, after looking at the importance of RQ in respiration, what are the factors that affect the process of respiration? Remember, respiration is the process by which food is broken down in body cells, liberating energy. And we saw that energy is liberated in form of ATP. Remember that respiration, when we saw, it occurs in those three stages: glycolysis, Krebs cycle, and electron transport chain system. These stages involve the use of enzymes. Therefore, there are enzymes involved in the process of respiration. This therefore means that all the factors that affect enzyme activity equally affect the process of respiration directly or indirectly. Now, these factors affecting respiration, we are going to categorize them into two. We're going to talk about the external, outside the body of the organism. And then we have the internal, or what we call the intrinsic, inside the body of the organism. Remember, when we talk of organisms, we are not only looking at animals, but we are also looking at plants, majorly animals and plants, together with the other organisms which don't fall in the categories of plants and animals, provided they are living things. Remember, all living things do respire. They all carry out respiration. Therefore, we are referring to all of those organisms. To begin with, temperature among the external. Now remember that respiration being an enzyme-controlled process. When temperatures are low, enzymes are inactive. But when temperatures are increased, then enzymes become, their activity equally increases until an optimum temperature, beyond which further increase in temperature denatures the enzymes. Therefore, when enzymes become denatured, that means even the rate of respiration decreases, because enzymes will not be able to speed up the process. That is why we say that the rate of respiration increases with increase in environmental temperature to an optimum point, beyond which further increase in temperature causes the rate of respiration to decrease because of denaturation of enzymes. Also remember that aerobic respiration requires oxygen. But when temperatures are high, oxygen becomes less soluble. And if it becomes less soluble, therefore it is less available for respiration. Meaning, the higher the temperature, the less the solubility of oxygen, the less its availability, the lower the rate of respiration. Then we have oxygen concentration. This basically affects aerobic respiration. Remember, for aerobic respiration to occur, Krebs cycle and the ETS take place. But in absence of oxygen, respiration ends at glycolysis, then fermentation takes place. And as such, oxygen concentration, it proceeds well in presence of oxygen, because oxygen is needed for the Krebs cycle, and the ETS, because it is the final electron acceptor. Remember that point where we saw electrons from the electron carriers, the cytochromes, where it recombines with the protons, then to form hydrogen atoms, which combine with the oxygen, liberating water. That is why we say oxygen in oxidative phosphorylation is the last electron acceptor. Then we have carbon dioxide concentration. Remember, the higher the carbon dioxide concentration, the lower the pH due to formation of carbonic acid. And when the pH lowers, We know that enzymes work within narrow range of pH. This means that some enzymes' activity will be affected due to the high carbon dioxide concentration that lowers the pH. Remember, when enzymes' activity is affected, equally the rate of respiration lowers. It goes low. More so, when the concentration of carbon dioxide increases now in plants, it causes stomatoclosure. Stomatoclosure. When stomata close, it inhibits the entry of more oxygen into cells, thereby lowering the rate of aerobic respiration. Light intensity. This again applies in plants. From our transport, we noted that the higher the light intensity, the more the stomata that are open. When stomata open, then plants can easily take up more oxygen, promoting respiration. But if the light intensity is low, stomata close, less or no oxygen taken up, what follows? The rate of respiration lowers. So those are the external factors. We now move to the internal, also called the intrinsic factors. Number of respiring cells. If there are very many cells that are respiring, equally the rate of respiration is high. Remember, in our bodies, respiration does not occur in all cells. It mainly occurs in particular cells, especially those with concentrations of mitochondria. There are cells in our bodies, like the red blood cells, that don't have mitochondria. Therefore, we don't expect great respiration there. And as such, we cannot call red blood cells respiring cells. But those other cells, like the liver cells, with a lot of mitochondria, the hepatocytes, liver cells called hepatocytes, with very many mitochondria, that means the rate of respiration is high. Therefore, the higher the number of respiring cells, the greater the rate of respiration. Concentration of respiratory substrates. In other words, which foods are to be broken down? Carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, the mainly carbohydrates and lipids. The higher the concentration of the substrates, that is respiratory substrate, the higher the rate of respiration, and vice versa. Then respiratory enzymes. Remember the respiratory enzymes, the enzymes involved in glycolysis, involved in the Krebs cycle. You remember the ATPase enzymes that we talked about, and others like the aldolase enzymes, the cytochrome oxidase. The higher their concentration, the higher the rate of respiration, and vice versa. Water content in a cell. Cells that don't have water, when cells lack water, when they cannot obtain water, we say they have reached a point of water stress. And whenever there is water stress, then the rate of respiration is always very, very low. So those are the factors that affect the rate of respiration that we've categorized into the external factors together with the internal factors or the intrinsic factors.